Hey guys, I know I always say this, but I'm going to try to go through this as quick as possible. I'm going to let you guys kind of have a day where you work at your own pace. But before I do that, I want to make sure you guys have a good foundation and are hopping into this the right way. So I wanted to go through your bell ringer with you first. So this was bell ringer 36 in your Google Classroom. First question, it had two parts. What did the Supreme Court rule in Brown versus Board, and how did the Southern states respond to that? So remember, Brown versus Board, okay, ruled that I'm sorry, end of the day. Racially segregated education was unconstitutional, which overturned Plessy versus Ferguson. Now, the Southern states responded to this a variety of different ways. Um, some schools in the South would rather shut down than integrate. Some would fire employees. Okay, so the South did not respond to this, even though this was exactly what the Supreme Court had ruled that schools need to be integrated. But you do need to know what Brown versus Board the ruling is, and that is that it declared segregation in schools to be unconstitutional, overturned Plessy versus Ferguson. Next part. This goes off that reading in our discussion from class on Wednesday. So Trigg County High School was successfully integrated in 1962. What was the reason that the integration went so well? Think about that interview that you heard from Mr. Radford. Okay, and the reason why is because there were many reasons, but the biggest thing is that the superintendent and the administration brought in African American teachers, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, you name it, to the integrated school when it opened. Which, when this school opened in 1962, it was fully integrated, both staff and students. But having the staff be integrated was a huge, huge stepping stone into achieving what that status that was necessary of peace and um, good conditions in general in the classroom. Okay, now we are going to look at Dr. King's letter from Birmingham jail. Okay, so this is the first page, front and back of that packet that you got. Okay, now in my other classes, group work and all that, I'm not making you guys do that. I'm not going to tell you guys the answers. We're just going to read through it and talk about it. Okay, so first, okay, we're skipping that. I want you to look at excerpt one, and there's something I really want you to focus on. Okay, so the question we're looking for is, what is the phrase widely known when describing conditions in Birmingham show you about the frequency of those conditions? And it says, there can be no gainsaying the fact that racial injustice engulfs this community or surrounds this community. Birmingham is probably the most thoroughly segregated city in the United States. You guys remember the poem we read at the end of last class, and you're about to see a mention of some of those similar events here in a second. Its ugly record of brutality is widely known. Negroes have experienced grossly unjust treatment in the courts. There have been more unsolved bombings of African American homes and churches in Birmingham than in any other city in the nation. These are the hard, brutal facts of the case. Okay. So, what does that phrase widely known show you about this? Well, it shows you that, first off, if something's widely known, obviously the frequency of it means that it's happening a lot. It's happening frequently. Okay. So, this is not a one hit wonder. These things are not just happening occasionally, these things are happening often. Okay. These conditions that King is describing here. But also, why is it widely known? Okay. Let's talk about that. Like, why does everybody know about this? Because that's what widely known means, right? Well, you got to think this is the 1960s, and these oppressive conditions with African Americans have been going on for years. But why is everybody all of a sudden like aware of what's going on? More so than they had been in the past. It's widely known because of TVs. Most Americans during the 1950s start to purchase a television. And so these atrocities and these things that are happening in Birmingham, people are seeing them with their own eyes. Okay, there's that saying, seeing is believing. And it's one thing to read about these, the bombings and the brutality. It's one thing to read about in the papers. It's another thing to see it on the TV that's coming into your living room. Okay, so that is what, like, when the widely known, it shows you that it's happening frequently, but it's also what shows you that it's widely known because everybody's seeing it on TV. All these things are going on. Okay, so it is happening often. The country sees all the problems through the media. Okay, and all these slides are posted in your Google Classroom under If you go to in class slides, okay, you go to in class slides, it should be the last thing I put in your stream, okay? I just now realized I'm only recording this tab, so I can't show y'all, but you'll find it. Don't worry. Now think, why did King and other civil rights leaders choose Birmingham as the place to conduct the protests? Okay, so why do you think they chose Birmingham? Well, it's because he says it in this excerpt, but also we talked about it the other day. It is one of the most segregated and racist places in the entire United States. I mean, the director of public safety is a known racist. Okay. And so they know by doing the protest here, A, it's needed because obviously segregation is very high here and racism is at all time high, but also it's likely to draw the most attention. Okay. The protests are likely to draw the most attention, cause most reactions in a place like Birmingham. And not to say they necessarily want a reaction, but that is what's going to help the movement. They want to evoke a reaction, not provoke. Provoking implies that whoever, whatever caused the reactions at fault, but it evoked a reaction. Okay. And King has a famous quote that we're going to talk about later where he wanted people to remember that what they were seeing was not because of the protest. It merely exposed the negative things. The protest merely exposed those negative feelings, those racist feelings. Okay, so that they chose Birmingham for a reason. It was because it was the most segregated and racist, one of the most segregated and racist cities in the entire country. Okay, and so it would draw the most attention needed for the movement. Okay, now excerpt 2. We're down here now. We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. What does this quote mean? Well, if somebody's oppressed, okay, or if you oppress somebody, you're kind of holding them back. Like you're taking away their freedom and their ability and all these things. So look, it says, we know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor, is demanded by the oppressed. What does that quote mean? It means this: African Americans are never going to be given their freedom by those who have been oppressing them or taken away. In this case, the politicians that have been for segregation, such as, George Wallace and the racist governor of Alabama. They are not going to be given their rights by these people who have been oppressing them. Rather, they are going to have to push for it, okay, and demand their rights, okay. Any should If there's any questions, just put it on the side of your paper. Okay. Sorry, I'm so used to asking, is there any questions? Now, so next question. This kind of carries on to the next page. Why are King and other civil rights leaders tired of waiting? Okay. And look, for years now, I've heard the word wait. It rings in the ear of every African American with piercing familiarity. This wait has almost always meant never. We must come to see with one of our distinguished jurists that justice too long delayed is justice denied. Okay, we have waited for more than 340 years for our constitutional and God-given rights. So that's referencing when the first African Americans came here as slaves. The nations of Asia and Africa are moving with jet-like speed toward gaining political independence, but we still creep at a horse and buggy pace toward gaining a cup of coffee at a lunch counter. So they are starting to realize, African Americans are realizing that their rights are going to keep getting delayed. Okay, and this is frustrating because during this time in the 50s and 60s, you have all these countries around the world, okay, in Asia, Africa, wherever, that are getting their independence. And it's like, King's point is like, but we still creep at a horse and buggy pace toward even being able to, sit at the lunch counter and get a cup of coffee, eat inside a restaurant, right? And I know some of you guys have ridden behind the Amish before, okay? Horse and buggy pace is pretty slow. So they're making no progress. And King's point is like, around the world, there's other progress being made, but we haven't seen that, okay? So we can't wait. Because every time we hear the word wait, okay, that's just, to us, by now, it means never. We've been told to wait for years, and we are tired of waiting, okay? Because this has been going on for a long, long, long time, okay? Moving on. So I'm not going to read all these examples. I'll kind of let you guys read through this, but perhaps it is easy for those of you who have never felt the stinging darts of segregation to say, wait. Okay. And then he mentions all of these things. Okay. Very violent acts. Okay. Definitely acts that stand out. This is what about segregation, especially when you take a cross-country drive and find it necessary to sleep night after night in the uncomfortable corners of your automobile because no motel will accept you. So why would King include all those examples? Well, he wants to show the specifics of the problems and issues that African Americans are facing. Because you think about, he's building this argument, right? He's talking. If he just says that they have been discriminated against and prejudiced against, face prejudice and all that, that's not going to carry as much weight as bringing in these specific examples and showing the how and the why, okay, and what is actually going on. Because like this kind of brings out the humanity side of it, right? Like trying to appeal to the humanity of people. Like imagine traveling enough is tough enough as it is, right? I mean, people are tired and it takes a long time to get there. You're ready to. If you've been driving for several hours, you're ready to, tuck in for the night. And he's bringing up that point of like in some places, like they will not even let you in, rent a room, and you have to sleep in your car. Okay, very specific examples like that bring in that evidence and make this very real, rather than just saying that this idea, oh, there's discrimination, there's prejudice. No, these are the exact things that are happening and that are problems in and issues in American society. Okay. Um, According to King, what do African Americans need to do with their pent up frustration and resentment? So this is excerpt 3. Okay. So he's saying that like people are frustrated, right? But they don't need to resort to violence. They need to go on peaceful protests. And what King is saying here is that they need to go on peaceful protests. So let him march. Let him go to City Hall. Let him go in freedom rides and try to understand why he must do so. If his repressed emotions are not released in nonviolent ways, they will seek expression through violence. That is not a threat, but a fact of history. So I've said to my people, get rid of your discontent or your displeasure, like with this situation, the frustration. Rather, I've tried to say that this normal and healthy discontent can be channeled into the creative outlet of nonviolent direct action. Basically, he's saying about going on peaceful protests, do not resort to violence. And that next part, this little table at the bottom, okay, nonviolent civil disobedience, we're going to break down what that means. So nonviolent, obviously not using violence, aggression, or threats. Okay. So this is the main strategy that was preached by Dr. King during the Civil Rights Movement. Nonviolent civil disobedience. Now, civil can have a double meaning here, okay? If somebody's being civil, that means, they're being peaceful, they're being calm, all those things. So we could say it means that. But also, for the sake of this, let's say the government or laws, okay? Law and order. That's what civil means, the government, like civics, that's like the study of government. Disobedience. Now, I don't know if you've ever had to send a dog to obedience school, but that's when they teach a dog how to obey and all that stuff. I've never sent a dog, but I know people who have. Okay, disobedience, obviously not following, okay, the rules or laws. So nonviolent civil disobedience, what is this going to entail or what is this going to involve? Here's the answer. Okay. It means that African Americans were going to defy these unjust laws, but they were going to do it through peaceful actions. Okay, they are going to do it through peaceful actions. They are not going to resort to violence. Okay, it's nonviolent civil disobedience. They are breaking the law, okay, by breaking some of these laws about segregation, but they are doing it in a peaceful manner. Nonviolent civil disobedience. They are disobeying the government, okay, and the laws, but they are doing it in a peaceful manner. Okay. Now, I didn't mean to accidentally record this in one tab. I was going to show y'all everything, but here's the deal. You have plenty to do the rest of this block. Okay. Helped you with the bell ringer. I helped you get part of these notes done. Now, the next page, the forms of protest during the Civil Rights Movement. So it looks like this with a table. You have the guided notes on one side. These are in the slides in Google Classroom, and I've posted that. Okay, it's the most recent thing I posted is in-class slides. Okay, you will fill all that out. Okay, and then the additional notes. Okay, you don't have to answer all these, but I need to see pretty good participation. Okay, to get the points for today. Okay, I'm giving you 20 points just for filling this out. And I gave you the answers about a half of this. Okay, but I need you to find some of this on your own. Okay, so you're gonna just go on Google. and find some information, additional information about some of these protests. You're going to be looking at the Montgomery bus boycott, the sit-ins, and the Freedom Riders, and you're going to get the fundamental understanding of it. But through those research questions, you're going to kind of probe a little deeper and find some more information about those protests because they are instrumental in the success of the civil rights movement. They're very important. Next thing, okay, once you finish that, I have left in a folder, okay, all the like handouts and papers that I'm missing from some of you. I went ahead and put your name on it, okay. You should receive those shortly, okay. You need to work on that, okay. When you work on that, after you get it done, okay, after you get it done, you need to turn it into the tray. Okay, on Tuesday, my plan is to stay late and get all that updated. Okay, and you can take it home over the weekend if you wish and bring it on Wednesday. But some of you guys, small little tic tac assignments are hurting and counting against you right now. Okay, so today would be a perfect day to do that. Okay, next class, we will be looking at the Selma March. Okay, very, very significant event in United States history. It's regarding voting rights, so that'll be kind of a good opportunity to kind of wrap things up. We will study for our civil rights test, and y'all civil rights test will be on Friday. After which we take the movie. After we finish the movie, we will after we finish the test, sorry. Again, I'm sorry. It's the end of the day. After we finish the test, we will start a movie. And before you ask, we will finish the movie. Okay, that's the plan. Take the test, start the movie. The next class, when we'll be in here a week from Tuesday, we finish the movie. Okay, before we hop on into World War II. Okay. If you have any questions, I'm in a training, but I am just a reminder email away. Just let me know. You guys have a great day and a great weekend.